trying to explain to a man that if a girl says to leave us alone, do anything but leave us alone. Unless it's said multiple times, but most of the time, girls just like, we want the attention. We want you to like.
Honestly, at this point, men should just be using this as a screening tool. Just wait for her to have this moment where she tells you to leave her alone and then actually leave her alone and see what happens. Because if she appreciates your respect of her boundaries, that is a green flag. But if she has the opposite reaction, she doesn't appreciate it, run. Just run. There's nothing more to it.
A man who sleeps with 200 women is the man, but a woman who sleeps with 200 men is worthless.
It's called a misogynist.
Men sleep with who they can, for the most part, and women sleep with who they want to. That is the truth. So if a woman goes and sleeps with 200 men, that means that she wanted to, and that she just opened her legs and let it happen. I know this is where we kind of disagree, but that is the truth. If a man sleeps with 200 people, he has to earn it to sleep with 200 people.
We didn't disagree on that. I just don't hear you saying things so crass.
Everyone can feel how relationships collapsed, but very few understand why. The truth is simple. We tampered with systems that worked for thousands of years. Men and women had defined roles, tested by time, culture, and human nature itself. But modern society decided it was smarter than history. That arrogance is hubris. We replaced duty with convenience, loyalty with entitlement, purpose with feelings, and structure with chaos. Now everyone is confused, lonely, exhausted, and looking for answers. When you rewrite the rules without understanding why they existed, you don't create freedom. You create dysfunction.
To all the ladies wondering, where are the men at? Why aren't you asking us out? Why are you walking away? Well, ladies, here's your answer.
Never participate in systems designed to destroy you. Modern dating, modern marriage, modern feminism, all of it is a rigged deck. Men lose their time, money, mental health, and freedom while being blamed for everything that goes wrong. So the smartest men do the simplest thing. They walk away. They chase purpose, not distraction. They build their future, not someone else's emotional playground. Peace and freedom are priceless, and no relationship is worth sacrificing them to someone who sees you as replaceable.
Does that make sense for you as far as like why divorce is inherently more risky for men?
I just feel like you're saying because women tend to be the person who initiates a divorce, correct?
Yes.
That's why it's riskier for men, but why do women tend to end divorces? With successful men that have money, they cheat.
She said it earlier.
They do all these things that women don't want to put up with.
She said it earlier. It's
so
a feeling.
why?
Feelings change from day to day.
Yeah. So I could have been in love with the person at the moment, but if that person is no longer treating me well just because we're married, I have to say no.
That's the point.
Because he can't be a good husband.
So as a man,
that's all I'm asking.
If I marry you and you decide, you know what, he's not the guy I thought he was anymore, I'm leaving. You take half my stuff, and maybe.
So is there no risk without reward?
So what?
You married me, right?
No. So once again, this is why
you wanted to marry me.
Don't want to get married.
You loved me enough that it would be worth it to you to marry me and take the risk.
Hold on, stop the show. You just basically admitted it with your own words. Why guys don't get married?
Why would I get married? Why? Yeah. There's no actual reason to get married. It can complicate things. I have some friends that just have a woman they love and they had kids and they just didn't get married. I find them happier than those that get married.
There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but I feel like once you put the marriage title on it, there's just this
like
added pressure
too, right?
that like the relationship doesn't need.
Did you hear about this new food that like completely destroys sex drive in women?
No.
Wedding cake.
Women confuse stability with boredom because chaos is familiar. They don't realize peace requires maturity, something modern culture doesn't train them for. Marriage was once sacred, a spiritual and cultural foundation. Now it's a business model. Big wedding industry, big divorce industry, big lawyer industry. People make vows they never intend to honor, then act shocked when the relationship collapses under the weight of their own dishonesty. When marriage becomes a performance instead of a commitment, it turns into a joke. And men are the ones paying for the punchline.
So what happens is women and men are cutting a deal. Men want sex. They want women's youth. They want their fertility. And they want her to be hot. Okay? I know there's personality, whatever, but let's just say women want men's genetic material and resources. And what happens is there are women that cut deals young, right? So they trade in their youth and they trade in their fertility and they cut a deal with a guy young. Women that made a bad deal, so they cut a deal with a guy that they realized wasn't alpha, or he wasn't, the guy she wanted, or maybe she saw her friends get a better guy, or poor men, we don't even treat you guys like people. I'm so sorry. It's just, I'm telling you how it is in girl world.
And we live in what I call camp victim, blaming them for the problem or the problems in the marriage and wanting them to change. One of two things happen. That because of the negative picture we paint of our husbands, we render ourselves incapable of seeing the wonderful qualities that they bring into the relationship and the good men that they are. And we see through a totally false reality, which is really kind of scary. And a good man is trying and doing the things and doing what his wife asks of him to try to make her happy. And it completely goes over our heads. So that's one scenario, that this is the man you're married to, but you've disillusioned yourself and can't see it. Or the second, and potentially why you can't see these values in your husband anymore and characteristics of him as a good man, is because you have beaten it out of him and he has given up. There comes a point where he can only be told he is wrong so many times, only to be withheld sex, affection, appreciation, respect for so long before he will throw his hands up and give up.
Modern marriage for men is like buying a tool from a mechanic and agreeing he can reclaim it anytime for any reason, and you still owe him money afterward. That's how the system treats men. She gets the kids, the house, the assets, the alimony, the sympathy. He gets shame, debt, and supervised visitation. Then society asks, why don't men want to get married anymore? Because men finally calculated the risk. They realize the game isn't just unfair, it's predatory.
Name one benefit that a man gets from a marriage that he wouldn't get in a regular relationship.
Just one.
I think a lot of men who choose to get married are incentivized by the fact that they are able to claim that woman as theirs. And
but name one benefit that they would get in a marriage that they wouldn't get in a regular relationship.
Well, I think even though it's not 100%, there's peace of mind that that woman is going to be loyal to you.
The answer is there's none. You're dancing around it. There is none. So my thing is this. I think it's in a man's best interest to stay Peter Pan, as you would say. And I think women shame men because men gain their value in their 40s. Men understand the sexual marketplace better. They understand that women have no leverage in their 40s. And they date down and they get younger, more attractive girls. And that's the best way to go in today's day and age where we live in a deregulated sexual marketplace where women could take everything they got, take their kids, etc. Why the hell would a guy want to commit to women nowadays when, honestly, we got wholeflation?
I think it's also setting a good example to children that you have a family nucleus. And I think there's something to be said about that.
Well, you can do that without the state getting involved in getting married.
Marriage used to be spiritual. Today it's paperwork with legal consequences. The moment the religious foundation was removed, commitment became optional, but penalties remained severe. Marriage is now a contract where one party has every escape route and the other party has every liability. When something becomes too easy to break, it loses all meaning. That's why modern vows sound beautiful but hold no weight. They're poetry with no obligation.
Men don't really see the worth in going out to find a potential mate.
When you tell a man he's evil, when you demonize masculinity and manhood and men ain't shit and they're not needed, of course, dude, they're gonna just say, I'm good then. I'm gonna just focus on work, I'm gonna focus on my career, my hobbies, my own ambitions, and I'm not settling. Why would I? You don't even want a family.
If you want a woman to treat you well, don't hand her commitment up front. Commitment is the prize women chase. Once they have it, most stop performing. But when she's not guaranteed your name, your resources, or your future, she behaves differently, yet respectfully. She invests effort because she has something to earn. The moment she gets the ring, many switch off because the chase ends, so never give the commitment before evaluating consistency. Effort is temporary, patterns tell the truth.
The thing that a lot of men is terrified about with marriage, unfortunately, happened to me. You get into these relationships and the version of woman that you thought you were getting, they change. You know, before you know it, I had the experience that a lot of men unfortunately ended up experiencing, which is the loneliest I ever felt in my life was when I was married.
Women love the idea of marriage, the ring, dress, ceremony, attention, validation. But staying married? That requires sacrifice, accountability, and emotional maturity. Many aren't built for that. They want the prize without the work. This is why men who avoid commitment move on effortlessly, because they see the patterns. Women insist they're different, but their behavior shows otherwise. Same expectations, same entitlement, same shortcuts. Different packaging, same operating system.
I have a question for the men. Do you guys still want to get married?
I think what you're asking is, do you want to be married? And I think that a lot of men would say, yes, I do want a partner to spend my life with. But when you say, do you want to get married? I'm not sure if you're keeping in mind all these extra steps that come before and the possible ones after. Here's a guy living in a cardboard box with his ex-wife in his house with other men. You have to keep in mind that happens with roughly 1/3 of new marriages, and that's only for the men who have the opportunity to get married, which is contingent upon a bunch of steps that have changed quite a bit over the years. So in order to get married, you have to date, and in order to date, you have to work and make money, and in order to work and make money, you have to go to school, and men have been facing a lot of new difficulties in all of these areas over the last few decades. So, do I want to have a partner? Yes, but do I want to go through all of this again? Not right now. So you want to get married, you have to date, you want to date, you have to work, you want to work, you have to go to school. This is where a lot of male problems begin. I'm not saying that schoolgirls have it easy, but the last few decades, schoolboys have been treated like they are defective. In 3rd grade, I used to finish my work before the other kids, and I would get up and move around, and they told me that was not okay, so they medicated me. When I got a little older, the other boys would start fights, and I went to the authorities to do the right thing, and they punished both of us. So then I took matters into my own hands, and they punished just me because of these policies. They don't let boys just fight it out anymore. Those types of policies are not setting young boys up for success. They punish the way that we natively look at the world. It definitely messed me up a little, and that was 30 years ago, and I have no idea what's going on now. When we get older and go to college, there are all kinds of things in place to help girls that are not available for boys, and they say that it's there to correct problems, but I don't think those problems exist anymore. So as we are accumulating what we need to succeed in life, boys are getting less of a head start than they used to, which is, I think, one of the contributing reasons for why they say they have Peter Pan syndrome and they never grow up. I think it starts here. When we get into the workplace, there are similar programs that benefit women and not men. And that's an issue because women want to make equal money to men, but then they also want men to make more and support them, and you can't have both. Additionally, the culture has become very inhospitable towards men, and again, the way that men communicate and behave. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the economy is getting pretty bad, and even though that affects everybody, men are the ones who are expected to pay, so this puts us at an increasing disadvantage comparative to women as we age. Then when we get out into the dating world, if you don't have any money, that's going to be a problem. If you can't compete on the dating apps, which most men cannot, that's going to be a problem. If you're not okay with her having an OnlyFans or an Instagram or whatever, it's going to take some women off the table because they have so much attention. So a lot of men are playing catch up at this point in life when that didn't used to be the case. So our parents and grandparents did not have any of these problems. They just sort of grew up, got jobs, and married whoever was nearby. Have you ever thought of it like, would your mother have married your father if she had Tinder? Would she have chosen him? There's stuff going on in these phases of life for us that would have been unheard of even one generation ago. I once had a job where I worked with a girl. We had the same job. I had more experience. We had layoffs, and later she matched with me on Bumble and came to hook up. And I said, would you like to continue doing this? And she told me that I didn't have my life together enough. We were living in the same place, in the same job market, and we came from the same job, and I had more experience. And she was getting $120K a year to do some like women's leadership job or something, and I was driving for Uber. So, I think a lot of people are really underestimating how much easier this makes things. So then if you can actually get to this point, you as a man, you have to take everything that you've managed to put together over the course of your life and put it all on the table for someone who is probably not doing the same. Even though women are not having a hard time in the workplace, men are still generally expected to provide, while women generally keep more of their money for themselves. We've all heard, my money is my money, his money is my money. I found this great little video about that.
But I just have a quick question. My husband won't see all of my accounts, right? I have like 8 different bank accounts, but my husband only knows about 2 of them. I've just been secretly saving for years in case I ever need to. Oh, no, say no more. I don't need to see those statements, so as far as I'm concerned, they don't exist.
Yeah, so I don't love the idea that my wife might be hiding money. Of course, I'm not allowed to do that. All of my money has to be on the table, and there's about a 1/3 chance that you're going to be taking it to party with other dudes in the house that I bought for you. Divorce laws have changed too. You used to need a really good reason to get divorced, but now it can happen just because someone is not happy. They even write songs about it. Check this out. I have to mute it for copyright, I'll read it to you. Might be the only guy who didn't send me hearted eyes in reply to my latest story. We work well on paper, we don't argue, we don't fight, but lighting scented candles just won't relight up our fire. And right there she goes, ah. It ain't that bad, it's just not what I wanted, don't want to live this life half-hearted. Hang on, here it comes. I want fireworks and flames. Don't want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough, that ain't love. This is the squircle of unconsciousness. It represents how people don't know how relationships work, and so they think the relationship is going to go like this, and then it turns a corner. I think she's at the dissatisfied part. You can't have everything is exciting all the time. Good choices are boring. No relationships are going to be fun the whole time. They're all going to have spots where there's no fire. But she don't want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough. That's not even love. Look how passionate she is about dumping her husband. That's real, I can spot a faker. And she even sings about other men giving her googly eyes on her Instagram stories. So this girl is what I would call an excitement chaser. She starts out her new relationships excited, and over time gets bored when they're not chaotic, and then by the time we notice she's bored, she's already got a new guy lined up, and this has pretty nasty effects on us. So your relationship satisfaction is going to change over time, but your stability is not supposed to. That's what marriage is. That's what it's for. Even when you start feeling like things are not as fun, you have to remember that commitments are what gets you through the swings. I actually have a little theory that this takes about a year. Obviously, we get up and go to sleep with the sun, and women have changes in their hormones and emotions with the moon, and I think that a year is the amount of time that it takes to find somebody and have that strong emotional connection, get pregnant, and have a child. It's about 1 year altogether. And this girl is making a spiritual experience out of a biological process, and she's allowed to end the marriage over it. So it's not that I don't want a partner, it's just that a lot of us don't have what we need to build a partnership, and even if we get it, it could fall apart immediately. She could squircle herself into believing it's not love, and have a phone in her pocket with 1,400 horny guys on it, and then I end up here. So what you've done by fighting for equality is you've basically said, hey, you want to play a game of chess? I get all queens though. Hey, where are you going?
Do you guys still want to get married? Like, is that still a thing?
I hope this all made it clear why it's less of a thing.
My money is my money, and his money is also my money. That's the philosophy many bring into marriage today. Not partnership, extraction. Not unity, entitlement. And the problem is they don't stop there. They demand more, expect more, and contribute less. When a relationship becomes a one-way drain, men disconnect. Loyalty cannot survive in a system where only one side is required to sacrifice.
What is your body count so far this year?
So it's, July 6th. So I've been with about a person each day for the last 6-7 months. Each day? Each day.
You're kidding, right?
Stop it. Get some help.
So, I mean, if there's been 6 months, 30-ish days, then that's a lot of people. We're already in triple digits.
Propaganda tool.
You know the thing about women with high body counts? It doesn't matter if it's 80, 180, or 800 bodies. The real question is, do you really want to be the next one?
We're living in cultural decay because society thought it could rewrite nature for convenience. We thought we could play God without paying a price. Every empowering change came with hidden consequences: broken families, confused roles, disappearing masculinity, rising loneliness, collapsing birth rates. Like the monkey's paw, you get your wish, but you lose your soul in the process. You cannot bend human nature without breaking civilization.
Here are the 3 reasons I divorced my wife. Number 1, when I informed her that our neighbor died, she said, "Who, Ray?" Not appropriate to cheer at that moment. Number 2, when I told her my favorite month was coming up, she said, "Why'd you lie?" I didn't. Number 3 is when my dad passed away. He was at the hospital. I couldn't make it before his death. And when I got there, she told me that the doctor said that my dad was pronounced dead. There's no way I've been mispronouncing it my entire life. But she kept defending the doctor. And you know what, to be fair, I should have known. The first time I asked her out, I was like, "You want to grab some drinks?" And she said, "How about 10 tomorrow?" That's way too many.
Young women chase passion because passion is easy. Love is hard. Passion is dopamine. Love is discipline. Passion is fantasy. Love is sacrifice. Passion burns fast. Love endures. Most want the emotional high, not the responsibility. They want butterflies, not accountability. That's why they can't maintain long-term relationships, because real love requires putting someone else's needs above your impulses, and modern culture teaches the opposite.
How are only men taking a risk?
Because 80% of divorces are initiated by women and 90% of alimony is paid from men to women, and child custody always goes to women 90% plus of the time. So men typically a lot of times end up getting destroyed by divorce. Very rarely do women feel the wrath of divorce.
I mean, I feel like we still have
men.
a lot to lose.
Like what? Men lose way more. That's not even an argument. Like divorce destroys men far more than it destroys women, because most of the time women don't marry guys that make less money than them. So since men are in the breadwinner position most of the time, the women get all the benefits from the divorce.
Women want the ring without the grind. They want the finished man, not the building process. They wait at the finish line for the winner instead of running beside him during the race. And they expect men to accept them as they are, baggage, trauma, and all, while offering nothing but expectations in return. Marriage demands growth, but modern dating demands convenience. That's why it fails.
3 things that I learned to be okay with after my divorce 3 years ago. I realize that for some of you, this might be a shock because I don't talk about it that often because it was 3 years ago. But with that being said, let's get started. 1, not being able to predict the future. I thought that my life was ruined after divorce, and I think that a lot of people think this way. But what I actually experienced months later were some of the happiest times of my life. And guess what? They were all unplanned. 2, other people having more, bigger, and better because they did. By me going through a divorce, everyone that hadn't meant they had better relationships than me, better faith than me, better finances than me. I learned to be okay with being the loser on some things, especially the things that didn't matter to me, so that I could focus on the areas that did matter. And lastly, number 3, never getting the apology that I thought I deserved from multiple people, but what I decided to do was just forgive. I really hope this helps some of you.
Why men are checking out of society and relationships. People don't go where they're unwanted, and everybody always puts the blame and shame on men for everything that has gone wrong in society. A woman wants a man who is emotionally available and sensitive, but if a man expresses his sensitivity, he is told that he has a fragile ego. If a man wants to defend himself against a woman, she will shame him into being quiet by saying he's either too aggressive or he has toxic masculinity or he has, again, a fragile ego. If a woman says something offensive, she is protected. If a man says something offensive, he is canceled. It's considered sexist or misogynist to point out a woman's shortcomings, and you have to walk around eggshells with them because of their sensitivity. But men get mocked, ridiculed, and disrespected in society, and they're just supposed to sit back and take it. You can make fun of men all you want online, mock them, criticize them. If you do that to a woman, you'll...
Men remain unsatisfied in their marital relationships is because virgin mother is for their wife and whore is for their girlfriend. Well, that's not very good for the girlfriend because she ends up like in back alleys. That's fun for her. And it's not so good for the wife because her idiot husband is floundering around with. Plus, she's like boxed into her little icebox refrigerator life, having to be picture perfect like a Stepford wife all the time.
Yeah.
It's very unsatisfying for everyone involved. So one of the things you have to do to have a marriage that's successful is admit what you want. What was the Freudian stance? The most difficult motivational drives to integrate into a socialized personality is and aggression. And that produces a real challenge. But if you can get it right, it's a huge benefit, but it's very difficult to get right.
Men are expected to be everything: rich, fit, confident, masculine, emotionally stable, emotionally available, protective but gentle, dominant but sensitive. Meanwhile, women refuse to settle for anything less than the top 5%. Men will build with a 6 or a 7, but women treat average men like they don't exist. And the moment a man protects his assets with a prenup, he's labeled controlling. This era demands perfection from men while offering chaos in return, and still expects men to smile through it. Thanks for watching Male Imperium. Your support strengthens this brotherhood. Hit the like button, share this video with the men who need it, and subscribe so you never miss the truth every king deserves to hear.